What's happening, everybody? Today is a damn good day, or as the Hodge twins would say,
yeah, got a show for y'all. Got a damn good show.
Got a damn good show. And today is a great day because I finally get to install a Vortex ECU on the YFZ. And trust me, I know, I really tried to fight it. I tried to figure out other ways, try to call different tuners and things to get reflash on the stock ECU, but it seems no matter what I do, no matter what anybody does, it seems that you're gonna have to go with a Vortex ECU.
I am inevitable.
But what that allows us to do is control timing, control fuel. You've got all your switches on here, so it almost works like a carburetor where you can change your fuel on the fly. Better spark, better ignition timing. Maps you can move around. It's easier to tune. So when you take it to a dyno, actually a lot more guys can tune this than they can a stock ECU. Apparently that's really hard to do. And we get rid of that throttle bog. So that's fantastic. But I'm not using just any Vortex ECU. This one came all the way from Illinois Powersports, thanks to Jay, and through PeteHager.com. Got myself one of those tuned by Jay. And this one's a little bit special because he included a few things on it that might not be on your ECU. So on most Vortex ECUs, I think pretty much all of them, they come with your 10 switches or your 10 maps. So you have your stock maps that come on your Vortex ECU. It gets updated a lot, but Jay also included 3 tunes that should be close to what I have. As you guys know, I am running an FCI intake right now, but I really want to run my stock airbox with a GYTR flange. I put that thing together. I think it would do really well. And I've got that nice pre-filter lid that fits on it where I just basically carved out the stock lid. So I'd like to throw it back on there. Jay took that in consideration. He made a map for the FCI. He also has a map on there that I can use with the stock airbox. He said it should work, and I can tune it a little bit as I go to make it perfect. Take it to a dyno and have them look at it. So I have a base map, which is going to be the FCI intake. I've got a leaner map, which would probably be the stock airbox because it's a little bit more restrictive, and a richer map. So if I want to go even more open than the GNCC box that I have from FCI, then I could probably richen it up a little bit more. So that was cool. He even put it on here, all the maps and everything, everything's described. He showed me which ones are which on there, so I can just flip the switch on the fly and go from there. So that's awesome. Now, beyond just the Vortex ECU, as you guys know, you basically just zip out your stock ECU and put this one back in with the Vortex supplied mount. I didn't want to use that mount, and I'll show you why. So here's the stock mount. You've got all your clips and everything on there basically to house your relays and things like that. They just clip in, and then your stock ECU mounts in here. Oh, sorry, goes like that. Ha. Basically your stock ECU mounts here. This thing goes up there. It's got a few grommets in it. Well, this thing needs to go away because it's not going to be housing a stock ECU anymore. So Vortex sends their own bracket with it. Comes with this little guy, basically bolts right back in place. It just has 2 straight bolt holes, and then your little rubber sleeve that slips around the ECU and then pops on here just like your CDI box would on a Honda. However, these are prone to popping off the little rubber boot, and then all of a sudden your ECU is dangling inside the taillight housing, which is right up underneath here. It's very simple to get at. You just pop the sides out and you remove 2 bolts from the top and your taillight housing pops out. But I don't want that thing flopping around. I think Jake Brewer already had that happen to him, and he busted up an ECU. It just basically fell out and bounced off his chain, and he shattered that thing up. So yeah, that's no bueno. So to solve that issue, once again, through PeteHager.com, I went and used another DBR Race product. He sells an entire Exo Cage that holds your Vortex ECU. It is molded and bent and machined very well. Actually, it's very tight tolerance and everything to hold your stock ECU. And let me show you how this works real quick. He sends it out, powder coated. I think he's got Honda red and Yamaha blue right now. Basically just a bunch of parts in a box. Comes as these 2 pieces, slide together. Let me get the ECU real quick for you. Shove your little wires through there. You got your 2 cables. Sets down in there, molded, well, bent I should say, and then it slides into this piece, and there's this notch that slides through the notch up top. And there you have all your map switch holes are drilled out and labeled. And then he also has all these little rubber grommets. Basically just pop these little rubber grommets into all the little holes. And that's like your dampening system for your ECU, so you're not rattling it to death, which is really cool. It's also very tight. So I actually went with a pair of needle nose and bent these out just a little bit so that it'd be easier to slide the ECU in. I might also use a little bit of lubrication to get it in there. But once you get it all together, it'll sit like that. It's got two little bolts, just like that. Feed through, tighten it down against the backing plate. And what the backing plate does is it uses your factory grommets. So again, a little bit of dampening so you don't vibrate that thing all over the place. And your spacers and factory bolts. So it just basically takes factory hardware and goes right back in where you had it, which is awesome. It's well thought out. The only thing I had to do to modify was these little top hat spacers right here are a little too deep for these grommets. So I added a washer to space it out so that when you bolt it down, you see how it's not sticking out the back now? Before, that top hat was sticking out the back and this thing was just waddling around. So I added just one washer, it's kind of a thick washer, and now I don't have it sticking out the back, and I should be able to bolt it down and it sits up nice and snug and holds this thing from wallowing around. But that's it. That's really all you need to mount that thing up and make it secure. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. It doesn't require a lot of tools. Really, it's, I know he uses standard hardware, but I got metric everywhere, so I'm using metric. I got like a 9mm here, and what size is this Allen key? 9/34. Is that it? Oh my gosh. Yep. Tiny little Allen wrench. And then a 10mm socket, and that's just for the bolts to hold the thing down, but that's really it. If you want, pull out a little screwdriver, help you pop the sides of the taillight housing out, pop everything down, and then you just zip everything together, put it right up there, snug it down, you're done. And then we can go ride this thing. So let's do that real quick. All right, now I've pretty much pre-assembled this thing, so I've got all the little grommets in there. They're not too hard to do. I'm just gonna use a little bit of, I've got some WD-40, maybe just rub a little bit on top of there so it's easier to slide the ECU in. Put a little on there. Little dab will do ya. All right, all I wanna do is just a hair on there. I don't wanna get these too greased up, because I'm not sure what WD-40 does to rubber. Might eat at it after a while. Just want to make it easier to get the ECU in. And then what might work best is get the ECU set into this little part of the bracket, so you have something to push on instead of on the ECU itself. You got a little bit more to push on, and try to slide this thing in there. Oh yeah, that's way easier this time. I was doing some practice runs. I was like, man, that's going to be really tight. So that was not bad at all. And then you guys can see perfectly cut out for all your switches. So you got your map switches all the way over here, and then you got your low, mid, and high, so you can adjust your fuel. I think it's like 2.5% either direction. Really cool. And then everything sandwiches together on the base plate on the back. But what's cool is he's got the holes drilled so that you can orient it in different directions. So it could be sitting sideways, so you can come in from, I don't know how you would want to set it up, but I'm going to do it just straight up so that if I ever pop the plastics off the rear, I can get to these really easily. That just makes more sense to me. So the other thing that these rubber grommets do is they space this out enough that when the bolts come through to pinch this all together, it doesn't rub on your airbox. I've only seen this Exo Cage on one other machine before, and that was Pete's Raptor when he got a Vortex installed on it, mainly for the purpose of just going and getting it tuned. Apparently they're much better than the Power Commanders. But he had a nice Exo Cage for that, and it kind of snuck around the side of the airbox, which looked really cool. So I'm excited to use this stuff. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. You don't need any directions for this. Everything's kind of obvious how it goes together, which is really nice. Very simple. Looks pretty freaking trick, if you ask me. Okay, now get those spacers, pop them in, and then we're going to go ahead and put it up underneath here. Up into the grommets. Tighten this down. Snip the excess so you don't stab yourself later with a piece of sharp plastic. Okay. The hardest part is just locating those little holes for the tabs. Okay, got one. Got two. Sweet. Locate the threads, tighten it down. That's it. So easy. The guesswork is taken out of it for you. Voila. And thanks to Jay, all the guesswork is taken out of any kind of tuning or anything like that. I'm not guessing where the throttle position sensor is supposed to be. He told me exactly where it should sit, 0.68. Basically factory setting, because that's when he has everything turn on, is at that voltage. Also, thanks to Jay for such a quick turnaround on this thing. He had it in stock, he had it tuned, and then it was out the door, I think within 2 or 3 days, and then it was at my doorstep within a week, which is fantastic. There wasn't much wait time. I understand sometimes that's not the case, but he did a really good job of communicating and getting the thing to me and explaining all the stuff that was going on in there, so I understand it a little bit better. So without any more sitting in the garage and tootling with this thing, we're gonna go and take it out and take it for a first rip. All right, now that we got everything installed, let's go out to my little testing area, show you guys where I go and ride. At least one of the spots anyway. All right, it starts fairly easy. I have some old fuel in here because this has been sitting for at least a month, and it's pump fuel, it's 91, so I know that stuff doesn't do very well sitting. So I put some fresh stuff in here. Hopefully I burned through some of that 91 that was sitting at the bottom. Some fresh stuff mixed in. I don't know. Hopefully it does a little better, but wow. Okay. First things first, definitely a difference in power there. It's nice to have a good set of Nerf bars on here with a lowered peg height, so when I'm standing, I'm in a much more comfortable position. I can stand longer because I'm not so hunched over. You can feel that engine braking. I can brace for it a little better. Because before it felt like I was hanging on to my ankles when I was standing up. The pegs were so tall, so much better rider position. Now let's crank it up across the road. Another thing I've already noticed, I'm not getting the backfires, and that bog is gone. Good thing I got good sight lines out here. I did make a mistake though. I had this shifter off recently, and then putting it back on, I put it on a little too high. Whoops! So yeah, first thing, I feel good power. It's steady. I'm not getting any backfiring right now on D-cell. So, no backfiring.
and the throttle bog is gone. There, you can hear that there's no popping and banging going on, which is fantastic. Now the next thing I gotta figure out is I'm going through rough stuff, all that chop and the throttle is bouncing around. Make sure it's not cutting out on me. That is YFZ power right there. That's very linear, very straight. Fifth gear. I'm searching for another gear. Oh man. Okay. So good so far. Oh, little backfire. What's cool is if I'm still a little bit rich, I can go in and I can lean it out. So bottom end, if I'm rich and it has like a backfire or something, I can go in and just grab that low end and drop it 2.5%, which is way better than, oh my God, here we go. That's way better than stock ECU, where I basically have no say in it. Once the flash tune's in there, it's in there and that's it. Oh yeah. This thing is good. Alright, here's all that choppy stuff. Wow, that handled it way better. Man. You guys might have heard that. That was smooth all the way through all that. That was a lot of left and right. Some braking bumps. You can see a little bit of it here. I know it doesn't show up on camera quite as well, but you can see my bars shaking around. Hear my voice. Let's do a little bit of off and on. Oh yeah. And because this YFZ is stiffer, the faster you go, the more compliant it gets. Oh, that was fantastic. Oh, look at this. What's up, man? Yeah. Well, that was cool. Nice. Cool dude on a bike. Name's Aaron. I guess he's lived out here for like 12 years. Old 03 YZ450. Oh, the sand is so good right now. It's getting wind whipped. Wow. I feel like this tune has... Whoop. This tune might have some more torque in it. I'm assuming from the intake and everything as well. But it's getting tail happy quick. Oh man, that takeoff is chewed up. Let's get in the figure 8 here. Linear, that is the word. I've also noticed when you go to start this thing, it immediately kicks straight to a nice idle. It doesn't have that high rev into an idle. It just hovers right there. That's nice. Let's get some other angles on this thing. Definitely love it again. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not dogging on Elba because that tune was good enough to get me out riding, and it was necessary to at least put the airbox and exhaust on, so thanks for that, but this is just better. Another thing I like is that Jay lowers the fan temperature down to, I think, 180 or 190 degrees versus 220, which is stock. So that cooling fan, when it kicks on sooner, is just his tune. If you guys have one of these, don't worry about it. He explains all that, but still, good to know. Anyway, let's rip this thing back to the garage. Favorite hits coming up. Just hold it tapped. This is desert ripping, man. Holy cow. Wide open throttle everywhere. One other thing I should mention, where I really notice the crisp throttle, is as I downshift, I like to give little throttle blips. So as I'm downshifting, little throttle blip, down into gear, I don't have any of that hesitation that I used to with the flash tune. I think a lot of this, we're finding out limitations of the stock ECU versus Vortex just has more tunability, maybe a little more computing power, and it just works cleaner. So definitely a good upgrade. Couldn't avoid it any longer, so here it is. But I am loving this. See you guys back in the garage.
All right. Well, in conclusion, what are my final thoughts? Vortex ECU versus flash tune. Obviously better. If you're just looking to put a pipe and an airbox on there and open the thing up a little bit, an Alba tune will probably work for you. It'll get you on the trail or out in the dunes or whatever, but it is definitely running much better, much crisper, more throttle response, seems to idle really nice, no backfiring. I don't have any throttle chop issues. I'm also able to turn off the tip over sensor, more tunability. There are just so many benefits. So if you want to get serious about tuning your YFZ, absolutely get the Vortex, especially from Jay. He made it very simple, very painless, and that thing runs great. I have some other maps I want to try. I'll probably try the stock airbox eventually. Be cool to do a dyno run, stock airbox versus FCI, but that's neither here nor there. Some of the other changes I've made, Nerf bars. Lowering that peg height was huge. I'm way more comfortable standing up on that thing. I'm not so bent over trying to hang onto the bars and lean so far forward. Much better position. Those DBR Nerfs are a solid unit. That little cage, that Exo Cage, that thing's awesome because now I have a peace of mind and that thing is definitely secure back there. I'm not worried about it rattling loose. Keep coming back, guys, as we do more things to this, just little bits at a time, kind of just slowly improving, seeing what works, see what doesn't work, doing as little as possible to make it as good as possible. Suspension may be on the horizon, but for now, I'm enjoying it, especially fun riding. It's not that big a deal. Maybe I get it out to Glen Helen. It's a different type of track, definitely more MX friendly. So who knows? But if you guys like this stuff, keep coming back. I know I never say it. Hit that subscribe button or that like button, whatever. At the very least, hit that little notification bell so you guys get notifications that videos keep popping out, because I notice a lot of guys don't see them for months. I'm guilty of it too. So hope you guys come back. We'll have more content on the way, and I can't wait to see you.